This is Katherine Cespedes, and you are listening to Yogini from the Block, where we talk about taking spiritual practices and spiritual principles off of the yoga mat and into our real lives. You can listen to this bi-weekly podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and anywhere that you catch your podcasts. Hello and welcome to episode 11. It should be titled episode 11 because it's so exciting that we've gotten here, but it's titled Holding the Light, subtitled The Truth of Who We Are. And I'm here today with John Beathan, my producer.
Hello, and I always consider 11 to be the gateway.
I feel like it is. You know, when I was thinking about what I was going to name it, I felt like Holding the Light was something that I've been doing for the past few weeks, and I like to talk about what's happening in my life so that it's very fresh and new. And on the drive over here, I was like, darn it, I should have just named it episode 11, and just, wrote it out. But, those are my thoughts of how I do things.
So, okay, I've got the show notes in front of me, so why don't we just change it?
I like Holding the Light. I like that.
All right, so
I just wanted to highlight that there was episode 11.
Before we bore our listeners even more, why don't we just get started, if you don't mind?
Yes, okay. So the reason why Holding the Light for me is so impactful is because I'm taking these classes at Seaside. And this time around, I am taking a class called Exploring the Roots of Science of Mind. And what it is looking at the authors and the philosophers that really influenced Ernest Holmes, who is the individual who brought together all the writings and all the religions. And he's kind of looked for the thread that is consistent in all these pieces of work and philosophy and religions and culture. And he put it together to create the science of mind. And so right now we just finished reading Emerson's essays, which is an entire podcast all on its own because of how I personally feel about it. But what I saw was that what it truly is about is being an individual. Being an individual, knowing who I am, which is something that I have been really cultivating for myself, really understanding who I am, because it's not something that just went away and now I'm finding her again. She's already there. It's about looking for all the things that are camouflaging about who I am. It's kind of like
the hidden things?
The hidden things that aren't really mine. The fear that really isn't mine, that has been given to me and I have adopted it and I have been taking care of it and I have been nurturing it and keeping it around and then realizing, wait a minute, this isn't even mine. I don't even want it. It's not even helping me. It's really just weighing me down. So you know what? I'm going to leave it right here. I appreciated it for the time that I had it. And not only that, but understanding that if I have that, then that means that there are other individuals who have that as well. Mm-hmm. And so when talking to people, really looking at their divine being. And that's what I mean by the truth of who we are, because by me shifting my perspective, no matter if it's an argument, no matter if it's a disagreement, no matter if it's just a conversation and really looking at you as the divine being of light that you are, it shifts my whole energy and how I interact with you. So I no longer feel like you've got to listen to me because I am right. Now I'm talking to you like I would like for you to listen to me because I know that you are divine light and I want you to honor the divine light in me. And this has been something that's been reoccurring in the past month or so, where I've had to tell people, like I've had to just legitimately say, I do not feel honored by how you are speaking to me right now. So I'm just going to let you know.
I love that honesty.
Yeah, at first it was very uncomfortable because it almost felt like, who the heck are you to tell me how I should honor you? But we never know what other people are feeling, right? And I feel like that honesty kind of, as vulnerable as I felt doing it, the person that was on the other side also felt comfortable to tell me that they didn't feel honored by the way that I was speaking to them. So now I have to change my language because I know what that feels like. And it changes the entire conversation from I'm right and you're wrong to how can we honor each other? And I feel like that is such a beautiful, wonderful way to collaborate with another individual.
Is that holding the light?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what holding the light is. And it's funny because the reason why I'm taking all these classes, one of the reasons, is because I am on track to become a practitioner. And what a Science of Mind practitioner is, or a Center for Spiritual Living practitioner is an individual who holds the light. That's what they do. They hold the light and they listen to you, and they basically they basically put you back on track. Because when you're driving and you hear the bumps on the end of the road, which Abraham Hicks talks about a lot, and then you don't freak out. You're not like, oh my goodness, I suck because I can't stay between the lines and I'm just going to get off course. I might as well just pull over because I don't know how to drive. No, you don't do any of that. You just go, oh, let me get back on course.
Course correction.
That's all it is. So that's what a spiritual practitioner does. Just like we would go to a doctor for anything physical, we would go to a spiritual practitioner for anything spiritual. So the reason why I'm mentioning this now is because quite randomly, maybe not so randomly for the universe, but for me, in my perspective as a human being, I held the light as someone was talking to me. She was just talking to me. And I heard all of these things and I was like, and I legitimately said, isn't that a story you're telling yourself? And she just stopped. And she was like, okay, you're right. And she laughed. She was like, you're right. It is a story that I'm telling myself. And I was like, well, do you want to keep holding on to that story? What are we going to do here? What I realized in that moment was that all she was going to continue doing was going to continue repeating the story. And now this is another level of consciousness where there is the victim mentality, like everything is happening to me. And then there is the knowing that you're saying, yeah, everything is happening to me. And I know that I'm saying that, but I'm going to continue going through that story.
Because you're comfortable with it.
Because you're comfortable with it. And we have had this conversation off the air, right? About the safety consciousness. Mm-hmm. And then what was the other one?
Heart consciousness.
The heart consciousness. Yeah. So what I did in that moment was that I prayed. I just prayed. And we have a podcast on how everyone prays sometimes. So I just prayed with her because I knew and I felt that there was no other way, that we weren't going to be able to talk our way out of this. We weren't able, I wasn't going to be able to make any more jokes out of this. I like to be very light and very happy and very upbeat, but it wasn't going to be appropriate. All I was going to do was feed this story, and I didn't want to feed it anymore. I didn't want to feed it because I know how divine she is. So I prayed. I just held her hand and I asked her, can I pray with you? And she said yes. And I was like, okay, here we go. And I just started praying, and at the end, we gave each other a hug, and she sent me a message a couple of days later, and she was like, I just want you to know how powerful you are. How powerful you are. This is what the message said. Because now I have, I was offered 2 jobs, and they're great paying jobs, and I'm absolutely thrilled that they've been given to me. And I was just like, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. And that's a recognition as a practitioner that it's not about them. It's that they're able to hold that consciousness. They're able to hold that light. And I thought, what a concept that all I did was hold you in the light of who you are. And, these are things that people that you truly love, that's what they do. And this is not something that you have to be trained for. I feel like we could all be practitioners. It's knowing and understanding ourselves. This is why we're taking classes. This is why I'm taking classes. So I can understand myself. And so that while someone else is talking to me, it won't trigger something within me so that I can continue holding the light for them.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Regarding this person?
Yes.
That came back to you that said you're powerful.
Uh-huh.
Did you consider going back to her and saying, no, please take responsibility for your power?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah.
I told her that it had nothing to do with me. All I did was hold her in the light. Everything that has transpired was due to her power. So thank you for bringing that up. I didn't finish my story. I do that quite often. I was like, that's all they needed to know.
It was just looming, and I didn't want to start talking about how we make the best nachos in the world and forget that we're talking about holding the light. Yeah,
I don't make the best nachos. I do make really good guacamole.
I believe that.
Yes, it's very powerful guacamole. But I did tell her that it was her. And that's really what practitioners do, is that they hold you in the light. And like I was saying, our family does this. And sometimes our closest friends do this. And as I'm thinking about what I'm going to talk about in my podcast, I'm thinking, wow, I've really been surrounding myself with a group of women, like women that have been taking classes, that are going to Seaside, that are really creating really powerful manifestors in their own lives. And what that's doing, it's as they recognize me, I'm recognizing them, and I'm recognizing the people in my daily life. So that saying about you are the equivalent of the top 5 people, or the average of the 5 people that you spend your time with, right. It's true. It really is true. And so what is happening with me right now is that all I'm doing is that I live, breathe, dream, sleep science of mind. And that's because I know the demonstrations that are happening in my life, they're so real and they're so true. And this isn't like an advertisement, like go do science of mind. It's about really take responsibility. This is what I'm doing, is that I'm taking responsibility of my reality. Mm-hmm. And whatever way that works for you, it's about that. Mm-hmm. It's truly about that. For me, it is Centers for Spiritual Living. That's what is happening for me through that. It's not that there's a divine intelligence outside of me. It's that I am a part of this divine intelligence, and I can line up to this divine intelligence. And it's not about being in alignment, and then in those moments is the only times that it works. It's about recognizing it. The recognition is the alignment. It's almost like holding the phone to your ear, but it's off. So you can't hear anything, right? But the recognition that it's off, you turn it on, and you're like, oh, there we go. Hello. It works. I can talk. I can communicate. And not only can I communicate, but I can hear.
That's right. You can answer calls.
Yeah, I can answer calls.
And you can make calls.
And I can make calls, which is so powerful. I feel in my life, it's been completely a new way to look at it, because we've talked about it a few podcasts ago, how I was running away from something, and thus I was able to manifest and create in my life. And now I am going towards something. I am going towards the light. And that is a completely different perspective to have in life. Today, for example, I woke up and I got myself ready. I cleaned up. I took the garbage out, and I was just moving. I wasn't rushing. I did the show notes. I sent them over, and then I was like, I should start getting going. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'm procrastinating. I'm not doing everything I should be doing. And you know why I felt that way? Because to me, when I'm getting things done, there is a level of anxiety and stress. And since it's not there right now, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. What am I creating? I'm not stressed out. And when I get here, I was early, and I was like, so now I get to hang out and just like be with myself for a little bit longer. And I realized as you came up the driveway, I was like, what I'm doing is that I'm going with the flow. It's what I'm doing. I'm living in the flow is what I'm doing. I found a current and I'm going with it. It's working for me. This entire process of taking classes has been coupled with an hour of meditation a day. And in that, I can just hear my thoughts. It's so funny. Like, we're going to go into it a little bit, right? Because I can hear the thoughts that are they're useless. They're like really useless. Like just walking in the hallway and I'm like, you're really wasting your time walking. You should just stay in your seat. And there was a part of me that was like, who is that? What do you mean? I had to get water. Whatever. And these are like really useless thoughts, but I wouldn't have caught it. Like it's kind of like an underlying thought that lives underneath, right? And a part of that is taking care of myself. Because we see parents do this. They feed their children. They make sure they're clothed. Even if you're not a parent, if you're a guardian, if you
have a dog.
If you have a dog, yeah, you always, like, whatever it is, like, if you're taking care of another being, you always want them to be prepared for success. You know? Like, if we're going to the beach, I heard Abraham Hicks talk about this. When you're going to the beach, you want to make sure that your children are fed, that they have sunblock, that they have their towels, that they have a change of clothes so that they're not uncomfortable and crying later on.
That they've eaten.
That
you've taken water with you.
Yeah. So we prepare our loved ones for success. Are we preparing ourselves for success? Mm-hmm. Right? So one of the underlying things is that for me, it has been, or it was because it's no longer there, that taking care of myself is a waste of time. It's a waste of time to the productiveness of my day.
That's your story.
That was, yeah. Isn't that a silly story? Like, if you hear me say it, you're like, oh, come on, Kathy.
Yeah. So how is it different now?
Now, knowing when I take care of myself is where I am at my best. When I have enough sleep, when I've eaten, when I've had my coffee, when my nails are done, when just like the little things, when I know that I'm taking care of myself and I feel taken care of, my day just flows. Prime example, I was so nervous about a meeting. I went to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, did my meditation. Okay, but I didn't work out. I didn't do anything else. Went to work, and I'm in 4 or 5 hours into the meeting was 3 hours, by the way. 2 hours into the meeting, I crashed, and I couldn't take any more constructive criticism. It hurt, and it wasn't because my mind isn't like I'm not capable of taking constructive criticism. It's because I didn't take care of myself, and so the lack of sleep was really affecting my day. The entire day, I felt exhausted. I was just ready to go home. I wasn't productive at all. All because I felt like I had to push myself, like I had to make it.
Force.
It didn't feel good, right? So holding myself in the light, knowing that I am so divine that I can take care of myself. And when I am taken care of, and we've heard this before, right? Your cup has to be filled in order to help others be filled.
And then you become more present.
And you are more, yeah.
I mean, that's the contrast difference between force and presence. Sometimes you got to set the alarm to make sure you get up in the morning. That's forceful. But how you go through the rest of your day could be presence.
Yeah. And doing things that you love is one of those ways that you take care of yourself. Because you don't feel like you're forcing yourself with everything.
All right. So why do you think, let's just assume most people don't take care of themselves. Or let's just say that for those that don't take care of themselves, what stops them from taking care of themselves, do you think?
Well, I can't speak for the entire world or for other people. But for myself, what it was for myself was that I didn't think I was worthy enough. Like I'm not worth taking the time to go get my nails done. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time to go get X, Y, and Z done. For a long time, I didn't do my eyebrows. This is really big for me. I know. I didn't do my eyebrows for a really long time. And I went to go get them done, and I was like, you are so beautiful, girl. Like, why don't you get this done more often? And it's not about that. It's about the act of doing something for self. So really what it comes up, to answer your question, it's these common thread of, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I am not worth it. Those are the heaviest things that surround this idea of taking care of self.
Mm-hmm. So you don't become a priority.
Exactly. Everyone else and everything else is more important than a nap, than meditation, than, I don't know, for men, I guess it's different, but even for men, getting a manicure, pedicure, a massage.
I've had those. They're awesome.
Yeah, like a massage or anything that makes you feel like you are divine. You are absolutely wonderful. Taking a yoga class, taking a boxing class, doing things that make you feel like this has filled me in one or another way. Another example is spending time with people who appreciate you, i.e. having fun, right? Why can't I go and have fun? When I first came to San Diego, I didn't tell anyone that I was even here because I didn't feel like it was worth me telling anyone. Because I was like, I haven't found a job yet. Don't come see me. Almost like I was like, I don't know, a gremlin of some sort. Because I don't have a job, I have no meaning. Don't come see me, you know? But it wasn't about that. Whether I had a job or not, I would still make the same jokes. I would still dance. I would still laugh. I would still be myself. I would still say something encouraging about another person, right? So I've seen that by taking care of myself, which is what I've been doing and spending my time doing and making sure that I'm filled, it's so much easier for me to hold the light for myself and hold the light for other people. And be able to recognize when I don't feel honored. Like, it doesn't feel good when you talk to me in that way. I don't like that. Is there any way that you can speak to me in a way that honors us both? Right? And with some people, it might be that you have to repeat it a few times. Right? Mm-hmm. It's incredible how it shifts a relationship with another individual. You know, I was talking to someone and I told them that I didn't feel honored, that I'd much rather be somewhere else where I am recognized and appreciated. And they said, well, you do the same thing. So I had to sit my booty down and be like, okay. And I got checked and I had to check myself. Like, I made this other person feel this way. And I knew I was doing it when I did it. I knew it. So I had to check myself. Like, it's not always about you. It's not always about just honoring yourself. It's also about honoring those people that are around you. And that's what it means when you are a light. That's what it means when you are holding consciousness, right? We see it at Seaside every Sunday. We have one individual that literally sits at the corner of the room that holds the light for the entire message, that holds the light for the entire service. And
is that the same as holding intention?
Yeah. So they hold the light and hold the intention for the service for 45 minutes. At first I was like, how can anyone just sit there with their eyes closed? And now I'm like, wow. That's what they're doing. That is what they're doing for the entire service. That is powerful. And, you know, sometimes I wonder what if we took this Seaside model and we kind of took it out into the world? Like, what if you had a business meeting and you had an individual holding the light during the meeting? Like, would it go differently? Because even during the meeting where I didn't sleep enough, there was a part of me that knew that I was at what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer the question, and I think you know, too, that if you had somebody holding the light, yes.
I know. I feel like I want to plant the seed into the world. Like, if you're listening,
you are.
If you are listening and you have an office meeting, get someone to hold the light. It really is impactful. It really shifts the presence of what's occurring.
But what I experience with you is that there's nobody else in this room besides you and I. There's nobody else holding the light. But what you're doing is bringing forth the presence of holding the light. So even in your language, you talk about, can we do this differently for both of us, for each other? I mean, any of us can do that.
Yes. And thank you. Thank you for that. Of course, any of us can do that. It's easy to forget.
Yeah,
it's easy to forget, and it's especially easy to forget when you are being criticized for something that you've put your energy and your love and your intention into, and then someone's like, well, you could do this better. For me, what that felt like was, you wasted your time. That's not what they said at all. That's not what was said, but that's how I took it. So it's easy to forget when you're in this process of creating and you're being criticized for it, even if it is constructive, right? So walking away from that meeting, I was like, okay, next time I need to make sure that I sleep. And I need to make sure that I go in there knowing that it's going to be criticized and knowing that this work, it doesn't represent all of who I am. That's not what that is. I have to hold the light for the person, knowing that the person who's giving me this critique is also giving me this critique in the light. And that's what that's about. That's really what that's about, because that shifts the entire conversation. And feeling the feels, like really feel them. Like I felt them, and I was like, all right. I talked myself through it. I was like, this is what I'm feeling like. You know that's not what she meant, but you're going to stick in this, aren't you? You're going to hold this story for the rest of the day, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I was aware of it. I think I talked about this before, is that I usually give myself 3 days. Give myself 3 days to feel real funky. And then I let it go. And what's happening is that through the course of taking these classes and being able to hear my thoughts and have these true conversations with myself, I've been able to cut that in half, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit in this funk for the next 2 hours. And it was really only an hour. It was an hour, and I sat in it. And by the end of the meeting, I was making jokes, and then I left and I was feeling a little funky again. So I went outside. Like I was taking proactive steps to really recharge myself. Right. And by the end of the day, I was like, I just need a nap. I went home and I slept and I ordered food in. I was like, I'm just going to take care of myself. This is what I need. And that's okay. That's okay that you felt that way. The next time, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fully prepare you for success. We're going to truly prepare that you are recharged, re-energized, feel organized, feel ready. And then whatever happens after that, you're just going to have to let it go, honey. You really are. And these are conversations that I have with myself, because this is my process and this is my journey, and everyone else is going to do it differently. But what really is the same is, how long are we going to stay there? How long are we going to allow ourselves to feel hurt by outside conditions? How long are we going to react to the conditions, to the environment, to what is occurring? And then the next thing is, what are we going to do to make that better? What is mine to do? What is it? And I ask myself every time I go into a meeting, what is mine to do? Because every so often they're like, oh, you know what, Kat will do that. And I'm just like, no, she won't. She's not going to do that. That's not mine to do. I can point you in the right direction of who can do that, but I can't do that. And right now we're living in a space and time, and I don't want to talk about this too much, but where things are changing politically, in the environment, and there are people taking charge with what is theirs to do, right? And holding them in the light for what they're doing adds so much to it, and it's so powerful. Like we have, let's talk about the weather, right? And what's her name? It's Ashley Mazanec. Mazanec, yeah. She talks about this environmental, the environment, basically. And Sandy Atkins, who has recently passed, we're going to have a celebration of life for her at Seaside, August 5th.
At 3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock.
In Encinitas, California.
And she
Get
did
your plane tickets now.
Yes, please come. She was absolutely amazing and loved by all. And what she did was that she dedicated her life to she was an activist her entire life. And it was all about environmental consciousness, like what it looks like to be a conscious environment, which is why Seaside doesn't have paper plates. We don't do the disposable cups. Whenever we have an event, we give out plates and spoons and knives. So, I mean, it creates a little bit of work, but it's the consciousness that's there. We recycle, we have recycling bins, all those things that are put into place to take care of our home, right? And with the politics that are occurring right now, we have individuals that are truly doing something, right? And again, this is about what is mine to do. And I feel like what is mine to do today is kind of just highlight these individuals that are doing this work. Kevin Graham, who just did his TED Talk for Rochester, he talks about the humanitarian side of immigration. And these individuals are truly doing work that inspires them. And in order to do work that inspires us, we need to continue keeping our cups filled. We need to continue holding the light for ourselves, because we can't go out there and we can't do very much if we're going out there without taking care of ourselves first. And again, this entire concept for me of holding the light isn't new, but I can actually see it for the first time. I can actually recognize it and I can understand it, and I felt it. Like watching people do their thing, like be themselves, like it I don't know how to describe it. It's like watching a baby laugh. Like, you ever seen a baby laugh? It just brings so much joy to you. Like, it's not even that funny, but they're laughing so hard that you're like, wow, I could watch you all day, you know? And there was another time this week. It all happened in the same week. This is why it's so like loud in me. I was talking to someone else, and it was really like we were just having a conversation, and she said something, and I basically said, why? Why do you think that? Why is that so difficult for you? And the only reason why I said this to her and the way that we spoke is because I know where she is consciously. She's taken all the classes. I know where she's at. And she was like, at one point she told me, I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's going to make me throw up. And I was like, okay, that's wonderful. That means it's like you can feel it in your body. You can feel that limiting belief. It's about to come out. What happens if you do throw up? And she looked at me. And after telling me to shut up, right? She was like, shut up. I don't want to do this. And I was like, no, you feel it. You feel it happening right now. Like, let's see what happens if we go in there. And I just watched her. And for the first, I saw her take a deep breath, and I watched that transformation. I was like, oh my goodness. I just saw a butterfly spread their wings and fly. That's what that was. And she let it go. And she also sent me a message, and she was like, this, and this happened. And it was because of our conversation. And I was like, wow, you are powerful. It's my response to that was like, that's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to watch you soar. It's so wonderful to watch you progress. It's so inspirational. Wow, that's inspirational. It's nothing that I did. I didn't do anything. All I did was hold the light for her. All I did was, as she was talking, I was like, she's divine. She's a goddess. She's powerful. What's going to happen now? She's pretty awesome. All I did was hold her in the light. I didn't judge her for it. I did question her, but I didn't judge her for it. Because it's human. We're spirits living a human experience. And all I did was hold her in the light. And so if we know anyone who is doing their thing, and by doing their thing, I mean like they are out there, they are working on something that is their passion, all we have to do is hold them in the light. They're doing what they are triggered and wanting. Maybe triggered isn't a good word because it's associated to funky stuff, but they're really working their magic. These are magical beings. We're magical beings experiencing other beautiful, wonderful, inspirational individuals in this lifetime. And I didn't think I would start holding the light for people until after I got my certification, which is in like 2 years. So I start prac in September.
Yay,
finally. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do very much until. And now I'm thinking about it and I'm just saying, no, I'm good. I'm good. And if this is what that work means, then that's one powerful life to lead, to just hold people in the light. If that's what I get to do for the rest of my life, I think I'm set. I'm set to watch people truly expand and create and do and love. And it sounds very romantic, but there's so much work that I do to prepare myself for that success.
How long does it take to go through the pract?
So practitioner studies is 2 years. Mm-hmm. You have to take prerequisites. Mm-hmm. So there are classes which I've been taking to prepare you for prac. So it's prac 1. In the first year, it's really about understanding yourself, understanding your triggers, knowing what your limiting beliefs are. And then prac 2 is how to serve. So going out into community and serving the community. And then you get a certificate. You're licensed after you take panels. So it's an extensive amount of work to become a practitioner. And I can see why. It's so incredibly necessary. So after that, then there is ministerial school and you become a minister with a master's. So it's a double program in that. And I think this is the first time that I've ever really talked about what my plans are.
I just wanted to alert our listeners, if you follow this and you stay on track, given that we're at episode 11, and this is a bi-weekly, meaning twice every 2 weeks, whatever podcast, let's just say 25 episodes a year. Mm. So now you add 25 times 2 years is episode 50 plus the 11 we've already done. So everybody out there, check back in episode 61 to see if she actually made it or not.
That's pretty awesome. By episode 61, you will know. So I should probably pin this because in episode 61, I'm like, listen to episode 11 because 11. Oh, you said it. It's like a gate.
That's the pretty. Gateway.
Yeah, it's work. It is work, and it's so beautiful and it's so wonderful, and I am having so much fun. If you are listening, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for holding me in the light. I want to thank you for being the light. And if you have questions, go ahead and send me an email at yoginifromtheblock@gmail.com. Let me know what you want to hear. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know, are any of these things helping you? Is there anything that you want or need or you have a question about that I haven't touched yet? Let me know. I am here. And again, thank you and have a great, wonderful day.